You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. So for example, if you're having this kit with the Console X stick, we're going to get this controller. It's just a knockoff PlayStation controller. And I must say, most of them are working just on 2 batteries. I forgot to put them out. But the thing is, the quality in general is not great. They smell chemical most of the time. This is more like the better quality. You can see it on the rubber over here. These are actually good joysticks. But when you're looking at some of those, they're like really cheap to the cheap. So in this video we're going to take a close look at a controller that I personally really like when it comes to playing fighting games. And let's put this thing back in. Ugh. But okay, so I was searching for a controller for fighting games. I did a review about those Street Fighter versions, but it is not really convenient if you need to get like a PlayStation 2 controller and you need to use all of those mumbo jumbo converter cables. This time we're just going to have a controller. It's not wireless, it will have a wire, but it comes with a USB connection. And it is very convenient to use on your emulation box. I bought it a very long time ago and it has been sitting in my storage for a very long time. And I must say that there is not a lot of great solutions when it comes to fight pads. And then is the question, is this thing the ultimate fight pad for emulation? That is the question of today. But let's talk about the controller, because I'm very excited, to be honest. So first of all, we're going to get a different D-pad or a piece of plastic. And this plastic fantastic, I would say like it's absolutely fantastic, because you're going to get like a completely different way to play. If you don't like the shape of this D-pad, you can just basically pull it out and switch it out with this one. But another thing I really like is the form factor of the controller itself. So last time I did a review about the Street Fighter editions, and the Street Fighter editions were old and kind of clunky. And here you can see the design itself is quite ergonomic. And what I also like about it, the controller is not big. So you don't need to have like gigantic hands to play it. So in combination with the features it's already having, I think it's a pretty cool piece of, let's say, hardware. But there was something else that I really like about it. So it's really a fight pad, and what I love about a fight pad is just the button layout. Personally, I'm a big fan of fighting games and I'm always missing out the 6th button on one row, but of course it's personal. So another thing I really like is the press itself. So the press, it feels they're using quite good membrane buttons. There is some like movement in the buttons, but it is not like you're having with the really cheap ones. The button press, it feels very comfortable, and I must say I'm very pleased with it. Another option I think is really damn awesome that makes this thing ultimate emulation fight pad. It is because you're having here the turbo and the clear function. So if you're playing a shmup and you don't have the option to basically putting it in turbo mode, you can just use it with a controller. And I think that is something pretty damn awesome. And of course we're going to get the start and back or select button for everything, like putting a credit in. And then we're going to get the home button. So if you want to like make a quick menu or want to go back to the main menu, you can basically navigate with this button. But okay, so how about the D-pad itself? So here is the thing that you need to consider. So first of all, the D-pad, I personally really love it. So it's more like the floating D-pad. I have seen it before with different controllers from AliExpress and I love it. It plays very comfortable. So switching out, there we go to get, let's say, not an issue, but it's something you need to take consideration. So pulling the D-pad out, that is quite difficult. I would say something I noticed, maybe it's a defect in the mold, but you can see like the shape is different here. So that means that you can push in the new D-pad, but it will not go in all the way, and even going to be like, you can see like it's going to be even floating even more. It's not a big of a deal, and I must say like I really love the form of this thing. Like it is different. I can say that maybe it's even more comfortable than the original D-pad, but it would be cool if they like give something or like a special mechanism like the Elite controllers that I've reviewed here for the PlayStation 4. They can basically say, hey, we go to like slap it in and you can upgrade it with different kind of D-pads. Another feature I like is that we're going to get all the freaking shoulder buttons. So normally we're going to get only 2 shoulder buttons because we're going to get 6 buttons at the front. But if you don't want to use it, just want to use the A, B, X and Y and just want to use the 4 shoulder buttons, that option is also possible. So when it comes to features, we're going to get a lot of features over here. And the same goes at the back. You can see we're going to get a switch, and with this switch we can put it in different modes. For example, PC and also PlayStation 3. And here we can switch out between the analog stick, stuff like that. So when it comes to features, normally you're only going to see stuff like this on an arcade stick, but it also implements in this freaking awesome fight pad. But how comfortable is the back? So I already mentioned like with some of the controllers, especially the old school fighting pads, they're like clunky, they're big. So you need to have like huge hands to basically have a comfortable way to play. But this thing, is so much better. This is just plastic, so there's not like a rubber compound in here. There's like old school plastic, fantastic. And what I just like about it is like when you're holding it, it plays so comfortable and I like it. Then it also comes with a very long, nice quality cable. It's not like this woven cable you have seen before. And there is something I noticed in the packaging. Here you can see the dongle. So I would not be surprised if there is somewhere a wireless version too. Okay guys, so the thing is with this controller, and it's quite interesting, so here you can see we don't have anything going on the screen. Normally we need to have like the reconfiguring controllers, because you're not having any controller attached. If you don't have this, you need to have a different controller for navigating through the menu. But the fun fact about this thing is this controller is also an Xbox 360 controller. So when you're just plugging it in, because the system already has been set to an Xbox 360 controller, you will already get the message. The Xbox 360 gamepad has been connected, and you can see the system seems to be working just fine. But if you can't use it like this, okay, so the first thing that you need to do is pressing start on the controller. You need to get into the main menu. Then we're going to navigate through controllers and Bluetooth settings, and also here you can navigate basically to the settings. Here you can see my A hasn't been set correctly, and that's the reason why we need to reset everything. So we're going to do, I'm guessing I need to press the B button. Here you can see configure our controller at the top. Pressing that, we need to press it once again. It says one gamepad detected. Hold your button a couple of seconds and here we can navigate through the menu. For example, D-pad up, down, left, right. We're having start and select. Then we can basically like put it in the right configuration like A, B, X, Y. Okay, so normally when we're going to reconfigure a controller, we're going to use A, B, X, Y. Then we're going to get shoulder button left, right and trigger left, right. So basically you can still reconfigure it like that. But the main problem that we're going to have is the following. So if you want to play fighting games, we're going to get the issue that these buttons are not mapped correctly. Because the software they're using, Emulation or Bodacera, will be reconfigured with the games like, basically let's say when you're having a fighting game like Street Fighter, it's going to be low, medium, high. You can like remap it in the game. But the thing is, like, if you want to use it like this, and we're going to use the configuration here at the top with the shoulder buttons, these are not correct. And the reason why is very simple. The RB and RT are basically like these two buttons. So it uses only one shoulder button and only one trigger button. So if you want to reconfigure everything, you can basically have two ways to go to. So first way you can do, if you just want to use the original way, configure this and configure that in Emulation or Bodacera. Then we will have like a messed up situation with this button. So you need to do a lot of mumbo jumbo in the game itself to get it right. But if you want to get it, let's say, in an easier way, the other way you can go to is the following thing. So what you can do basically is putting the left and the right shoulder over here. And what happens when you're doing this, when playing fighting games, I don't know what you think about this, because when you're playing all of your favorite games, like even Mortal Kombat, we're going to get block in the middle, so we can use the 6-button configuration. Then we're going to get with Street Fighter low, medium, high. You can swap it out in the game itself, but that's the way and that's the thing that I'm going to do in this video. So basically what we're going to do is left, right shoulder button, left, right trigger button. It's kind of which configuration, but that is one of the ways you can go. So that is the thing that we're going to do. So the next thing that we're going to do is very simple. So we're going to get left and right shoulder button. We're going to go find them over here. And then we're going to put the left trigger and the right trigger. And the reason why, because now we're going to get all the buttons mapped in every single game as I want to have them. And of course, when you're going all the way down, we don't need to navigate through. If you want to, like, you need to have set up like the analog stick, because we don't have those. And then we're going to get the hotkey. So the hotkey can be everything. Going to put it on button 8 in the home. It's going to be more convenient. And that's it. Then we have configured the fight pad. Okay, so let's choose the first game to play. Let's see how the buttons are mapped correctly. Alright, that's kicking. So this game doesn't really utilize the full potential of the fight pad, but I just want to check it out. Just want to use some couple of moves, and I'm noticing that this controller is really convenient for fighting games, because the D-pad is so much better responsive than the PlayStation 2 knockoffs and other controllers I've tried. So let's check the shoulder buttons. Here you can see this game doesn't really utilize the shoulder buttons, so we're not going to need those. Okay, so next up is Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat is a great game to play with a fight pad, in my opinion, because we're going to need like the 2 buttons in the middle for blocking. So let's see if the emulator has everything have been set in the right position. Okay, so let's see, we're going to get punching over here. That's it. Alright. Okay, blocking, but you can see like not everything has been set correctly. And it's a little bit of a bummer that happens all the time. So the only thing that we can maybe do is like going into the emulator menu and set everything like we want to. Alright, so next up let's try a different fighting game that does utilize all of the buttons. And that is just a super convenient way to go when it comes to fighting pads, and you have like all the 6 buttons that we're going to need up front of the system. And again, like we can also use the shoulder buttons if you want to. We reconfigure it like that. But all my moves come out instantly. Personally, I really love this floating D-pad design. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so next up for shmups. Let's see if we can manage to fix that. The turbo button. So turbo. And here you can see like the turbo can be configured very easily. And this is such a fun way to play shmups. So let's remove it again. Clear button. And it's back to normal. So that is one of the things I really love about this controller. Besides like for the fighting games, we just have like the old school turbo function. Some emulators do have the option for it, but why have all the hassle? You just have a controller with turbo function. Oh yeah. You don't need to stretch out the old fingers, because sometimes my fingers are getting quite tired with pushing the button all the freaking time.